Hi, I'm Steph. I'm going to demonstrate how to use the small jump ring maker. It's quite a clever gadget from Beadalon that allows you to make your own jump rings, which is perfect if you're creating chainmail, so you can determine the internal diameter quite easily by using the specific barrels. So basically you get 4 different size barrels, so you can obviously make different size jump rings. I'm going to use the smallest barrel, which will give me a 4mm internal diameter on all my jump rings. And basically you screw this little barrel into your little handle. It's quite easy to do, and just slot that in there. You'll see there's also a small hole at the top there, and that's to feed your wire in. I'm using 0.8 silver plated wire. Just going to poke that in there like that, and then just fold up a small amount up the back here. That's just to stop the wire from coming out. And then I'm going to turn it round, and I'm going to use my left hand to brace the wire against the barrel and actually do the turning with my right hand, because I find that easier. You can easily turn the handle round and do it the other way around if you find it easier to hold the wire with your right hand and twist with your left. So I'm going to brace my 0.8 wire against the barrel here, and then turn the handle with my index finger on my right hand. It's a very simple device really. So I'm just using my thumb to brace that against there, so I get a nice even twist. And then you slowly and steadily, you can see as I've started off it's gone a bit wide, so I'm just going to push that down, back down to the handle. And then it's a lot easier once you get going. It might take a couple of practices to begin with, but I'm just bracing that against, pushing my thumb against the wire on the barrel. And then once I get going, you can see I start creating a tight spiral. You just have to keep adjusting your grip every so often. But once you get into the swing of things, it becomes a lot easier. It does get a lot trickier when you get close to the end of a wire, and because of the nature of wire, it always gets a bit tougher towards the end because you've got less wire to work with. So when you get to this stage, you can just trim off the wire at the top here, and then you've got a spiral of wire which you can then use to create your own jump rings. So that will now slide off my barrel. And again, it's not the best section of wire. If you use a much longer piece of wire, you get more into the swing of things. The beginning is always going to be a little bit wide, just when you get started. And then I lost my grip a little bit at the end there, but you can squash that in. So now I'm going to use flush cutters, which have got a nice sharp edge, to actually cut all my jump rings. Okay, I'm going to start at my neat end. And basically, you always want to remember that it's always the flat side of your cutters that are going to do the work. And that's where the blade is. So I'm going to just pop my flush cutters inside there. You can usually get through a couple of rings of wire at a time. So you'll get rid of that excess bit. And now I'm going to start creating a pile of small jump rings here. Now you want to be careful that you don't end up moving the wire around too much as you cut through them, because you could then end up with different size jump rings. One way to eliminate this would be to just draw a line along your coil of wire with a marker pen, and then you know that you'd always be cutting them at exactly the same point. And you just keep going. If you find you can't cut through, it's probably that you've got too much wire in your cutters. There we go. So you will get going and you'll cut all the jump rings, all the coils into jump rings. You can then just get rid of this loose bit at the end. You don't really want to cut this into jump rings as well, because of the angle of the wire. It will end up being a much larger jump ring. There we go. So we've got a nice pile of jump rings there. So the lovely thing about using a jump ring maker is that you know that all your jump rings are going to be consistent. If you're using the same reel of wire and you know the diameter, so this is 0.8 wire with a 4mm internal diameter, if you're then going to be going on to do chainmail, it's brilliant to know that all your jump rings are going to be consistent.